Welcome to the number one friendship podcast in the country. I'm Aaron Cairo.
I'm Matt Ritter.
And make sure to go to manoftheyearpodcast.com to grab our merch and watch our episodes on YouTube. Matt, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay. We are currently recording on a Friday.
Correct.
When do you consider next week to start?
Monday.
Okay, so I recently made plans with a friend of mine, Arzu. Shout out to Arzu. And I go, it was a Sunday. We were talking on a Sunday. I go, let's hang out next week. She goes, oh, and she gives me a date that's 2 weeks away because she considers Sunday the beginning of the week.
Oh,
That's insane, right?
Well, no, because that's a little confusing. If you're trying to make plans, it's a little confusing because people assume you're saying next week as in like not this current coming week. Even though she's saying next week, like I think because when you're like, oh, you want to hang out next week, they don't think that means in 2 days because that feels soon.
If I talk to you on a Sunday and I say, let's talk next week, you think that means 2 weeks from now?
Yes. Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
I do, 100%.
No, I do. I'm looking at Matt's
Sunday,
eyes.
If it's Sunday and somebody says to me, let's hang out next week, that's not, they should say this week. If it's Sunday and they go, let's hang out, they should say, let's hang out this week if they want to hang out Thursday. If they say, let's hang out next week, that's
if it's Saturday?
8 days. That's at least 8 days from now.
So what if it's Saturday? I say, let's hang out next week. You think that means 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, because you're on the weekend. I think if you say, you have to start saying next week for Friday if you want to do it that way.
Wow, I thought you were going to be on my side.
No, I think you're wrong. I think you're totally and
hold on, Matt.
Out of your depth.
It's Friday right now. So if I say, hey, you want to get together next week, you think that means 2 weeks from now?
No. I think Friday is the cutoff for it to be this coming week.
So in the morning, if I text you in the morning, hey, you still want to get together next week? You're going to be like, whoa, what do you mean next week? You mean 2 weeks? You mean this week? I mean, come on, it's Saturday.
No, you're wrong. If you text me tomorrow morning, hey, do you still want to get together next week? I assume you mean at least 9 calendar days from now.
Shut up. Get the hell out of here.
I'm serious. You're dead wrong here. We have to ask our audience. Okay. Audience, is Cairo crazy? Like, I think if you want to hang out with somebody that week, you go, hey, let's hang out this week. If you say, let's hang out next week, that means you're skipping that 7-day period.
A week starts on a Monday.
No, but the phrasing of it, you want to hang out next week means the next one.
If it's any day besides Monday and you say next week, that means, I mean, don't even, now you're just goading me.
No, you're wrong. I'm actually laughing because it is funny that you actually have such a bone to pick with such an obvious thing. If somebody, you're saying literally, it could be Sunday at 11:59 p.m. You're saying that if somebody says, let's hang out next week, you think they mean tomorrow?
I think it means, some point in the next 7 days. Yeah.
No. If they go, let's hang out next Monday, you think that means 2 minutes from now? If it's 11:59
you wouldn't say next Monday if it was Sunday. That's different. But so I'm sorry, if it's Saturday and I say, let's hang out the week after next, that's 3 weeks from now, according to you?
No. That's a different phrase. The week after next clearly means you're counting this week as the next.
Well, that doesn't make any sense because next week is not next week.
No.
Next week after next is 2026 for you, Matt.
No. You're right in the sense that the week after next means 2 weeks from now. But if you're just talking about next week in isolation, you're also talking about not this coming week.
So if it's Saturday and I want to make plans with you for the following Thursday, what would I say?
You're saying 5 days from then?
Correct.
You want to hang out this Thursday. That's why. What about this? Why are you skipping the word this? You should be using this Thursday, not next. Next is confusing.
Okay. What if I want to hang out with you from my availability is Tuesday to Friday and it's only Saturday? What do I say? You want to hang out this?
Yes. You want to hang out this week
on a Saturday?
You want to hang out this week? Yes.
On a Saturday?
Week. Yes.
The week's over. There is no week. The week is gone.
You're on a weekend. This week is coming up. This week.
I honestly thought this was going to be a softball, and this is the
No,
most contentious debate we've ever had.
I think you're out of your mind. You're not using the term this. You're skipping over this. When is this week going to be next week? Soon. I mean, it is. By the way, you know how many people have been flaked on or like missed plans because of this problem that we're having right now?
So, okay, I'm going to give it up in 1 second. But if let's say we have a, so by the way, in real life, Matt, in real life, we have a call on Monday, a big call. Are you saying we have a call next week?
I'm saying we have a call this week.
It's right. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Just shut up. I can't.
No, I wouldn't say we have a call next. I wouldn't say we have a call next week. We have a call this week, this Monday. If you said to me today on a Friday, well, I told you Friday's the cutoff. So, but if you said it to me tomorrow, it would get really confusing.
Oh God! Wow! This is going to be maybe an elegant transition, because we're in this kind of contentious sort of half fun, half debate. And you and I have been talking a lot about Mel Robbins, who was like the new guru.
Yeah.
And her huge book is called Let Them, the Let Them Theory.
Oh yeah.
Which is based let them. And this is kind of like, should I just say that to you? Like, let them, like you have a crazy,
let Matt have his theories. Let Cairo have his ideas. Let them.
Even though we'll never get together, we'll miss all of our meetings, but let them.
Just let them. Yeah. If they think this week is next week and next week is 2 weeks, let them. Just let them. Just let them not show up for the most important meeting that we've ever had, because they are convinced that this week is next week.
Oh God. I am just
remember last night when we tried to figure out what let them means and neither of us could?
I think it's just let people do whatever they want. They hit you with their car, let them.
Yeah. You were like, is it just don't sweat the small stuff? I'm like, yeah, it's that. Also just letting people's emotional baggage not getting into your way. Not getting
what would you call sort of like, not like this type of advice? Like, is there a term for sort of life wisdom, sort of, because we're going to give our own?
Yeah, I think it's more like internal self-help.
Oh, interesting.
Right, because a lot of the self-help is like doing things externally, like tweaking this, tweaking that, working
mindset.
out. Yeah, right. So this is more mindset self-help.
Okay.
And mindset is obviously like the buzzword of the moment, right? And the guru landscape. But I love that Let Them is the #1 best-selling book. Let them. Oh, if your kid wants to jump down the flight of stairs, let him. Let him. If your kid wants to walk into the pool without a gate, let him.
Oh my God.
If your kid wants to drink gasoline, let him. Don't let it bother you. Do not let your 2-year-old son Brenner's shenanigans affect your emotional state. Let
him. Man. Oh Lord. I'm exhausted. So we're rolling out our own friendship mindset tip today. And that is, be the reason, not the excuse. Be the reason, not the excuse. And, what this means essentially is that if you are feeling like your social fitness or social life or your friendship contact is lacking, be the reason you guys get together, not the excuse why you didn't.
Yeah. Be the reason that you guys have a weekly dinner. Be the reason that you guys have an annual tradition. Be the reason that you take casual walks with somebody. Don't be the excuse for, oh man, I never see my friends. Oh my God, I'm like trapped in this house. Oh my God, I just like, my wife has all these friends and I have these buddies from college and I've never talked to you anymore. I just stopped talking to them. Don't be the excuse. Be the reason. Be the reason that that high school or college crew is now doing, some sort of get together or is on a group text again.
What's interesting is that, Matt, in our work in the field, when we talk to guys, they often do have friends. there are obviously some cases where you've moved away or you've lost touch, but we have a lot of guy listeners who have friends, but they just like, oh, I haven't talked to him in 6 months, 2 years, 10 years. Yeah, I just don't really reach out or whatever. We see each other occasionally at kids soccer games, and what we're saying is, okay, those are all excuses why you're not seeing your friend. Why don't you just be the reason why you are seeing them?
Yeah. I had a guy come over. You'll appreciate this. Had a guy come over for a shoot here, and he was in his 50s, maybe 60, late 50s, early 60s. And we got to talking about the friendship pod, as I always drop it into every convo.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, I love that. That's so great. He saw the cover of us on the Gazette. So I gave him the whole spiel. And I always ask people, because people do always want to talk about their friends. That's the amazing thing about this. They always want to talk about them. And he said, well, my wife has a healthy friend crew. I have a healthy friend crew, but I just don't see him anymore. And I was like, well, okay. So there's a little disconnect in those two things you just said. You just said you had a healthy friend crew, but you don't see him anymore. And he goes, well, none of them live here anymore. So on the one hand, it's like, it's great that you have, a healthy relationship with those people, but you don't actually have a healthy friend crew if none of your friends live in your city. You're not socially fit. We've talked about this. We have that as one of our questions on our social fitness test on the algorithm is proximity, right? And it's like, if a lot of people come to us because they've moved or their friends have moved, and it's great to maintain those long distance relationships. I think I'm not going to say that's not important, but you can't say that you have a healthy social life or your social fitness or your friendship circle is healthy if you don't have a single friend that you can call up just to get a coffee with.
Right. Proximity is very important. And, in that case, it behooves, this guy to try to make a local friend.
Yeah.
Which, of course, we know the first tip to do that is ask your friends in your other city if they know anybody in LA, friends of friends. But I think the broader thing is that, like, there's a lot of, this dovetails a lot with one of our biggest tenets, which is be the friend. There's a lot of passiveness.
Yeah.
Which is the word?
Passivity.
Passivity. We'll have to look that up. But especially with men, of like, well, my friends don't live here, or I haven't seen my friends. They're synonymous.
Can I tell you a bad sign that I had when March Madness was going on? I had a bad sign from the universe. I went to go watch with a friend. There's two big sports bars in my neighborhood. One of them I walked in, and the guy looked at me like I had a third eye or like a second head when I go, hey, are you playing any of the games? Like, had no idea that the tournament was happening this year. He's like, oh, the TVs aren't working, whatever. So I go to the second place. The games.
Wait, I'm sorry. The sports bar proprietor didn't know?
Yes. The second place wasn't even open till 5 on NCAA tournament day 1, which is crazy because the game started at 9:30. And me and my buddy went, and there were only 8 people in the bar. And it's just, I don't know. I just felt like it was such a symptom of, just the lack of effort, even on the lowest hanging fruit of days, to get together with your friends.
Debating whether I want to, it's a weekday, people have jobs, but I guess in New York, the bars are pretty.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to say that too. I was like, oh, maybe, we're just getting older, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. NCAA tournament first 2 days, like, there should be enough people to fill up both of those sports bars. These are really good sports bars with TVs everywhere. And I went to the second proprietor. I was like, where is everybody? What's going on? He's like, you tell me, man.
I wonder if that's
this general malaise that we haven't cracked post-COVID, where most people are being the excuse and not the reason.
It's funny. I was just going to say post-COVID, but I thought that the trends were like, now more people traveled in 2024 than any other year. And more, I thought we overcorrected. Is that not necessarily?
So I live in a neighborhood that I think is more our age demo, and it's more like married dads. And I think they're in the worst shape, And
Yeah.
they're the ones that obviously come to us all the time in the DMs that need the most help, and their wives come to them the most. So I think in particular, my neighborhood sports bar that would cater to guys that are, dads that are going to have to get together, and like somebody's got to put in the effort to get the dads out. Like nobody's doing it.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, the other place didn't even have the games on. I mean, that's on them.
It's just weird. I don't know. We were, and then, yeah, we were like, oh, should we get in an Uber and, go all the way to your neighborhood? But it's like, then it's like an hour, back and forth.
You lose all that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. And again, I think this sounds simplistic, but because buddies aren't texting their friends and be like, hey, want to watch the game? That's literally all that's missing, which is what you would have done when you were 25.
Exactly. And I think as we're getting older, we're dropping some of these good habits, right?
All right.
It's like, it's an obvious thing. Day one of the NCAA tournament, obviously you should be texting your friends like, hey, anybody want to leave work early? Of course you want to leave work early. Who doesn't want to leave work early?
Let me give you a hypothetical, Matt. Okay. You are a, 40-something married dad. You haven't talked to your buddy Jim in 6 months. Very common among the men. You want to invite him to, watch a game, do whatever. You haven't talked to him in 6 months. What's your advice?
So, I don't think you need to go over the top of rehashing any of that stuff, but you could just casually mention it. I like hey, miss you, buddy, going to watch a game. Like very cool, but like indicating, like I noticed that we haven't seen each other in a while, Just I would say, miss you, buddy. I'm watching a game. We want to come catch up,
Can I pitch you something?
Yeah.
What do you think about skipping over that first part and just pretending like whatever?
No, you can. I think that's totally right. I think either way, I said personally, I like to give like a slight acknowledgement of that too much time has elapsed for my liking. It's basically me saying like, hey, I want us to be more consistent with this thing.
But I worry that may create a barrier to our men of like, well, now I got to write this thing. Like just.
No. And I think again, like, I think that's why it's like the NCAA tournament's good, but there's all these things that are good on the calendar where it's like, it's assumed you can reach out to anybody for that.
And we should also state the person who's receiving your text is pretty happy to be receiving your text.
Yes. You're the only person that day that asked them to do something.
And we know this both from anecdotal evidence, but also studies have shown that like people like bids for attention. Like,
actually, I take it back. You're probably the only person that sent them a text all week inviting them to something.
Yeah, exactly.
You're an RH demo. You're not getting invites all the time.
Right. So, the excuse there would be, well, I haven't talked to Jim in 6 months. And the reason to get together is you're the reason. You're the reason. Hey, he's going to go to his wife. Hey, Matt just texted me. And his wife's going to be like, great.
Yeah.
Get the F out of the house, Matt.
Yeah. And it's just, again, we're hammering some of the stuff we've already talked about, but I think, phrasing it like this, be the reason, not the excuse. There's a motivational element that we're giving you guys. This is your pump up statement here. This is, the let them. This is our let them.
Matt, can you dispel a limiting belief for us?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what it is first.
Go ahead.
Well, it's easier to be the excuse.
Well, it's actually not easier. It's easier to have a healthy friend group. It's easier to get through your weeks with something to look forward to. It's easier to not be alone wondering what happened to your friends when you could just as easily send a text going, want to watch a game?
Be the reason, not the excuse.
Simple stuff. Let them.
Should we take a listener question?
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, this is asking for a friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram, Man of the Year Podcast, and we'll answer it on the show. So, Matt, I just want to preface that, like, we have this stack of unanswered questions, and I apologize. We're getting to them as quickly as I can. I pulled this one because I thought it was appropriate, but I feel like it may touch on some stuff we have touched on. So I'm giving you free license if you want to freelance after the question. So, dear Matt and Cairo, I feel like the unofficial social chair of my friend group. And honestly, I'm kind of over it. If I don't text first, my friend or name checks them. My friends Sam, Tara, and Jordan just assume someone else will make the move, aka me. So I love spending time with them, but I also would love for them to occasionally take the initiative. How do I nudge them into planning something or anything without me?
We've definitely touched on this before, but I think it warrants a conversation at the moment. Number one is we've talked about friendship roles, and you're just always going to be in every friend group that somebody is more inclined to take the lead on the plans. Now, that doesn't mean I agree with the fact that you're making all the plans all the time, but I think reframing that as a badge of honor and something that your friends really look to you for could be helpful, as opposed to looking at it as a burden. That's the first thing I'd say. Of like, you don't realize, and maybe your friends aren't showing enough appreciation, which they should, but I guarantee you they really appreciate that you're the one doing this. So first and foremost, and like without you, the friend crew would fall apart. It's like I always say, in every community, there's like a couple of people that keep that whole community together, and they never are going to get enough praise. They can't get enough praise because without them, the whole thing falls apart. You're never going to get enough praise. But ask yourself, look yourself in the mirror and say, is this why I'm doing it? Right? You're doing it because it comes naturally to you and you like doing it and you want to see these people. So that's the first thing I'd say. I don't know. Do you think that there is a way to get other people to nudge? That's the part I'm not totally sure on. What are your thoughts on like proper ways to get the other person to act?
Well, first, let's talk Man of the Year nomenclature. This is a classic case of planners and fanners. Planners are the natural born people organizing stuff, and the fanners are sitting there fanning themselves and asking for the Venmo costs. As a planner, by the way, there is one additional benefit of being the planner, that you have a say in what you guys are doing and you control it.
Yes, actually, that's a big one. It's a huge one. You're doing what you want to do most of the time.
Right. But I've been there when it starts to chafe a little, when it's like, if I don't do this, then it's not going to happen. And then nobody's going to have a good time. It's like game theory.
Yep.
You also have sometimes
responsibility. Look, it's a burden. It is. I see why you could feel it's a burden or responsibility.
So, what we've said is a couple things in the past. Number one, if you're a fanner, we really encourage a little bit more self-awareness, which doesn't mean that you just gratitude and appreciation goes a long way. Hey, we're buying the planner first round. Hey, planner, thank you. We appreciate you. We would never be able to do this without you. That's base level shit.
I think there is something to be said too. Like over a certain course of time, you got to do something more than a thank you every now and then.
Yes.
Get a gift. We've talked about like get a gift for the guy that's planning everything forever.
Oh my God. This just reminded me of, it was like maybe 1999, 2000. We were in college and there was one guy who always like got everybody else weed. Like he just knew the dealer guy.
There's one guy. Yeah. There's always a guy.
Yeah. And then one day, one of the fanners, he got weed for the guy and just stapled it to his door. It was just as a thank you. And I never forgot it.
Wow. Yeah. I've always thought I never want to go beyond knowing that one guy in the drug pyramid.
Oh my God.
I don't like the people who know the guy beyond that guy. I'm out. I only want to know the guy that's in polite society who has a connect.
How many levels do you think it goes? Do you think it's like a flat a flat organizational structure when you're drug dealing, or no?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of layers. So, okay, so let's think about this. Okay, so there's like the guy in our friend crew.
Right.
He's probably getting it from another guy in another pretty normal friend crew
Probably.
who's a little more connected, right?
Yeah.
He's almost like his multi-level marketing guy, like
Uh-huh.
selling juice. He's like another guy selling juice. That guy knows somebody who's in a gang or no? Is that like
No,
or
I think that
local,
guy knows like the guy who's got the
the
beepers and like,
distribution channel?
yeah. Yeah.
But that guy's not a gang person.
No, I don't think it's really gangs anymore, is it?
Cartels.
Well, also there's no such thing as weed dealers anymore in
Oh,
California
right. Yeah,
anyway.
there's growers, right? But what if it was like a hard drug, right? It's like so there's like the cartel, and then there's like four
Then you,
layers, you think? 4, 5 layers?
yeah, they probably go to like in I can't remember what book it was, one of Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers or one of those books.
Yeah.
He like does and studies the organizational structure of a gang.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, this is more like organized than like
They got a
GE.
lot of middle managers. Yeah, they got a lot of
A
middle
lot,
management.
a lot of middle managers, Matt. You'd be surprised how many middle managers there are in gangs. And when they
We
let you
got
go, they
sidetracked
let you
here.
go.
What were we talking about? How did we end up here?
We were talking about planning something. So you have to do something more than thank you and gratitude. Yes.
No,
And
but I
I
wanted to
think
ask you, how do we get the other part of the question is there actually a feasible, viable way to get the non-planning members of a friend crew to be more active on that end?
I think it's necessity is the mother of invention. You know, you're like, okay, I always put together the Memorial Day barbecue. Guys, I can't do it this year because I have a work
Hmm.
thing. You're on your own, and like they're gonna have to figure it out, and they probably will.
Right. So I was thinking that, but also maybe slightly different is delegating of like try to rope them into some things so that like it's
Oh,
now like let's try to normalize that they're part of your plan, like delegating tasks. You can do that. Like you don't have to always a lot of people who are planners, they also kind of have that like, you know, burned at the cross, like it's all on me when it's not
martyrs.
like martyred. That couldn't think of the word. It's not all on you. Like I think most of the time, if you're like, hey man, can you just send out this text to these 5 people? They're gonna do it. Or can you call the restaurant? You call don't even ask. You don't even
Yeah,
ask. If you're
yeah,
the planner, it's a big thing. It's like, hey, I need you to call this restaurant. Did you make the res? Make the
right,
res.
right, yeah. It's funny in my when you planned something recently, you had some people over in your backyard. I just brought the ice. You didn't even ask me. You're such a I'm such a planner that I delegated myself.
I told Cairo. I told Jess. I said, do we need anything? She goes, Cairo's probably going to bring ice.
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. I love the delegating. And by the way, do you know? We have a new term that we're using for sort of high level planners, people who really have dedicated their lives to being generous and making plans to their friends. We call them a planthropist.
Planthropist.
A planthropist.
We're
That's
circulating that, guys. We're circulating it.
so I think we have touched on this before, but I think we answered it, which is that if you're the if you're the fanner, show gratitude and occasionally plan yourself. And if you are the planner, lean into it, appreciate your role, and occasionally, the fanners might not even know that you are upset. So you gotta let them know.
I think that sums it up.
I love it. All right, guys, that was asking for a friend. If you have a friendship question, send it to us on Instagram, Man of the Year Podcast, and we'll answer it on the show. Matt, any final thoughts on be the reason, not the excuse?
My thought is it's better than let them.
Let them. Let them. I've been saying it around the house all the time, like stub my toe, let them. I mean, it means nothing.
Listen, I told you Brenner had a match in his hand. I was like, just let them.
Just let them. I mean, there is something freeing about not giving a shit.
Yeah. But listen, we're in a different space here. Our space is activating friendships and being the friend. And stop being a sad sack. It's within your grasp to turn it all around very, very quickly. We've had a lot of great success stories from our listeners who reach out to us all the time. I love nothing more than the DMs where people are like, I've been following you for like a year, and then they just tell us their friend circle now. And I'm like, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you find that your friend circle is lacking, you could either make an excuse or you can do something about it. Be the reason,
Not the excuse.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. Give us your stories about planners and fanners. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.